Well, in the case of Epstein, I think Epstein is a slightly different animal in some way because Epstein, as opposed to putting himself forward as a kind of messianic leader, to me seems to be someone who more sort of stayed, he's a facilitator. So the key element in Epstein, looking at it, is that he ingratiated himself to wealthy, powerful people. He doesn't come from that background. Epstein comes from, he's a nobody, really. Comes from, so many cases, from a kind of perfectly average family, and even early on, a more or less average kid. I mean, there's nothing particularly special about him. He wasn't, he did well academically, and most people who knew him sort of liked him. He was fairly likable. He was unobtrusive in some way. And that can be another form of manipulation. But you can do that. You can put yourself at center stage. You can make yourself the star of your own reality, and everything centers around you. Or you can kind of stand off to the side and facilitate people doing things. So Epstein basically became a pimp to the high and mighty. That's what his job was. He was a procurer. He allowed them to engage in vices, in certain, look, I've got a private island, and I've got a jet, and we can all go to my private island, and what type of things you're interested in, um, what do you like, and I can provide, and he would provide that for people. And I think a clue to this is that the way that Epstein really sort of got started in business is that, and the way that he would attract clients is that he was all about tax shelters. He came up with strategies for tax dodging. That's what it was. So you got a lot of money and you want to keep your money and not give it to the government. Well, here's various ways, more or less legal, that you can do that. Now, once he showed some millionaire the way that they could keep more of their money, he had gained their trust to a certain degree. But that's the sort of facilitating that. You're already taking people who are rich and powerful, and then you're doing things for them. You're really in a kind of servitor role. But you also have to watch this phenomenon of the servants who become the masters, who eventually control. And history is full of that, okay, of the people. You can find that if you look at how many monarchs are completely bamboozled and manipulated by their servants, by the people who essentially manage their lives, who are constantly telling them what they can do and what they can't do. And it realizing at some point they have virtually no control over their lives. They're simply their lives are run by their servants, who are actually therefore running the whole kind of system. So one can do that. So yeah, Epstein to me is the example of the servant who becomes the master. But now you've got people in these vulnerable situations, and then what does he do? He films them. He puts cameras everywhere. Now that's a canny business strategy. You've now got the ability to compromise them. Yet it's not clear that he ever did that in many cases. I don't suppose they'd go out and publicly complain about it, but the possibility was there. To me, the more likely possibility is that I don't think Epstein was doing that for his own amusement. So the argument that he was filming his clients as a form of self-protection, well, that didn't work. But that he was getting video evidence of people for someone else makes more sense. But imagine what he has to sell. So I have all of these clients, I have these people, wealthiest, influential people in the world, coming to my private island, engaging in some cases, quite illegal sexual activities or whatever else you may want to find. And I have all of this on film. Who might want to acquire that? And it's an interesting thing that one could sell. So I don't think he was doing it for his own amusement. I don't think that he was making all of these tapes just so he could have them on file somewhere. He was either creating them specifically to sell them, or he was being commissioned to create them by someone else.
So do you think that he could have been working for somebody and he was commissioned to start creating them? Or like in my eyes, it seems like a get out of jail free card. In my eyes, it seems like a if you don't get me out of jail, I'm going to release this video. And he had the wealthiest, most powerful people there. He had Prince Andrew there who was doing allegedly pretty
Allegedly.
horrendous, allegedly pretty horrendous things. I just don't. Do you think it's possible that he was working for a central intelligence agency?
He could have been, yes. I think it's possible. I don't think that that's a fact because there's not, right? You have relatively, you have to go back to facts are the things that you really know. So one of the things that we really know is that Jeffrey Epstein died apparently through self-strangulation while in custody. Okay, those are the basic facts. Now, what does that explain? Okay, the big question here, which doesn't answer, was that I don't know. Did he just get all depressed in his cell? And did he kill himself or did someone kill him? Because either one of those are fit the circumstances. I'd say that actually the idea that someone killed him probably fits the circumstances all the better because I don't know that he would necessarily, if he thought this was a get out of jail free card, why would he kill himself? But it didn't work. It certainly was not the get out of jail free card. It was that, oh, suddenly the surveillance cameras are just going to go off for no particular reason. Or there's a peculiar set of circumstances that would acquire this. So, again, you can't say what happened and what didn't happen because you don't know. But I'd say he died under highly suspicious circumstances. And considering who he was and what he was involved in, that makes it even more suspicious. So if this was his great get out of jail free card, it didn't work. It backfired on him. I think it could be, again, the information that he had acquired, the compromising material that he had on powerful people, certainly had a great deal of value. And I think it probably had greater value for others who might have wanted to manipulate those individuals than it did for him. So he facilitated people doing nasty things. And at the same time, he realized that this was something that he could exploit and potentially profit from. Because his whole life had been figuring out how to profit from his association with wealthy people. That's how he got to remember, he didn't start out rich. He got rich by his association with these people, and he associated with them because he facilitated them either dodging taxes or sleeping with 14-year-old girls. Whatever, it's kind of from one to the other in that case.
If you guys enjoyed that clip, please do me a huge favor before you go and head over to our Into the Mind podcast official page where we have the raw, uncut Into the Mind podcast and hit that subscribe button. And the more subscribers we get, the more incredible guests we can get on the show. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all real soon.